Men are often seen as strong, independent, and self-sufficient, but beneath that exterior lies a deep desire, one that many people overlook. Men want to feel valued, respected, and needed in ways that go beyond just what they provide. They don't always express it, and they certainly don't demand it. But when they hear the right words, it changes everything. It fuels their drive, strengthens their confidence, and deepens their emotional connection to the people in their lives. Yet, so few women ever say the things that truly resonate with a man's heart, the things that make him feel seen, appreciated, and understood. These words aren't just compliments, they are powerful affirmations that can transform the way a man feels about himself and his relationship. But the reality is, only a small percentage of women ever say them. Hey, dear men by nature thrive on appreciation. It fuels their drive, gives meaning to their efforts, and reinforces their sense of purpose. Yet, in today's world, genuine appreciation is something most men rarely hear, especially in relationships. They dedicate themselves to their work, their ambitions, and the people they love, often sacrificing comfort and personal time to ensure those around them are cared for. But despite this effort, acknowledgement is rare. While society often emphasizes appreciation for women, rightfully so, many fail to realize that men also need to feel valued. A man doesn't always need grand gestures or dramatic expressions of gratitude. He doesn't expect to be showered with praise every single day. But when a woman takes a moment to recognize his efforts, something powerful happens. A simple "I see how hard you work, and I appreciate you" can change his entire day. It reassures him that his sacrifices are not going unnoticed. It tells him that all the pressure he shoulders is not in vain. And yet, only a small percentage of women make it a habit to say these things. Many women assume that men don't need verbal validation. They believe that men are naturally confident, driven by an internal sense of purpose, and that they don't seek external affirmation. While it's true that strong men cultivate resilience, it doesn't mean they don't desire appreciation. In reality, men are often expected to be the providers, the protectors, and the problem solvers, yet their contributions are rarely acknowledged. Society tells them that their value is tied to their ability to perform, to be useful, to be strong. But who reminds them that they are more than just their utility? Who tells them that their efforts are seen and valued not just for what they do, but for who they are? The irony is that when a man does hear words of genuine appreciation, it sticks with him. He remembers it. Unlike empty flattery or generic compliments, true appreciation resonates deeply. It reinforces his confidence, strengthens his sense of purpose, and solidifies his emotional connection with the person who gave it. Think about it, when was the last time a man in your life was genuinely appreciated for his efforts? Not just a passing thanks, but real heartfelt recognition. It doesn't happen often. Men often express love through actions. They work long hours to provide, they fix things around the house without being asked. They silently endure stress so their loved ones don't have to worry. But because their love is demonstrated through action, many assume they don't need words. However, men are human too. Just like women, they have emotions. They carry doubts, fears, and insecurities. The difference is that most men don't talk about them. Instead, they bury them under their responsibilities. But a few simple words of appreciation can serve as a powerful reminder that their efforts matter, that they are seen, and that they are not alone. The reality is that appreciation is a form of respect, and respect is what men crave in relationships. While women often desire love and emotional connection, men find deep fulfillment in knowing they are respected. When a woman acknowledges a man's hard work, his sacrifices, and his ability to provide, she is communicating respect in a way that resonates deeply with him. It tells him that he is valued not just for what he can give, but for the man he is. And in return, this kind of appreciation makes a man want to give even more. When a man feels respected and appreciated, he becomes more loving, more present, and more motivated to continue being the best version of himself. Yet, appreciation is not about feeding a man's ego. It's not about saying things just to get something in return. Genuine appreciation comes from a place of sincerity. It's about truly seeing someone's efforts and letting them know they matter. And when it's done authentically, it transforms relationships. It deepens emotional bonds, creates a foundation of mutual respect, and brings out the best in both partners. So, why do so few women say these things? It's not because they don't care. Often, it's because they assume men don't need to hear it. They think their actions alone are enough to show their appreciation. Or sometimes they get so caught up in their own struggles that they forget men have struggles of their own. But the truth is, words matter. A simple acknowledgement, a moment of gratitude, can be the difference between a man feeling unseen and a man feeling valued. At the end of the day, men don't want to be praised constantly. They don't need endless validation, but they do need to feel that their efforts are recognized. They need to hear that what they do matters. And when they do, it gives them the strength to keep going, to keep providing, and to keep being the best version of themselves. Sometimes all it takes is one sincere sentence to remind a man that his efforts are not in vain. Men are not often the ones seeking constant verbal validation, but that doesn't mean words don't matter to them. In fact, the right words, spoken sincerely, can have a lasting impact on a man's confidence, sense of purpose, and emotional connection to the people around him. One of the most powerful things a man can hear is a genuine compliment about his strength, intelligence, or leadership. Yet, these words are rarely spoken. Most men go through life giving their best, pushing themselves to be better, and taking on responsibilities without ever hearing true admiration from the people they care about. Strength is something men pride themselves on, not just in the physical sense, but in their ability to endure hardships, remain composed under pressure, and take on challenges without complaint. They are taught from a young age to be tough, to hide their emotions, and to always be the ones who figure things out. Society expects them to be the problem solvers, the protectors, and the ones who remain steady no matter what. And yet, when was the last time someone looked at a man and told him, "I see how strong you are, and I admire that about you"? It's rare. Not because people don't recognize it, but because they assume men don't need to hear it. But they do. Acknowledging a man's strength, not just in the obvious ways, but in his resilience, his perseverance, and his ability to navigate difficulties, validates the very thing he works so hard to embody. Intelligence is another area where men rarely receive direct praise. It's easy to compliment someone's appearance, but how often do men hear someone say, "I really admire how smart you are," or "I love the way you think"? Intelligence isn't just about book smarts or professional success. It's about problem solving, decision making, and the ability to analyze situations effectively. Men take pride in their ability to figure things out, to strategize, and to come up with solutions. But because they are expected to do these things, their intelligence is often taken for granted. A simple compliment about the way a man thinks, the way he approaches challenges, or the depth of his knowledge can be incredibly meaningful. It reassures him that his mind is valued, that his thoughts and ideas are respected, and that he is more than just someone who is expected to perform. Leadership is another trait men strive to develop, whether in their careers, their families, or their personal lives. Leadership isn't about control, it's about responsibility. It's about making tough decisions, guiding others, and standing firm in the face of uncertainty. Many men feel the weight of leadership without ever being told, "You're a great leader," or "I respect how you handle things." This is especially true in relationships. A man who leads with integrity, who makes sacrifices for his family, and who takes on the burden of responsibility, rarely hears direct recognition for it. He just does it because it's expected of him. But hearing words that affirm his leadership gives him confidence in his role. It reassures him that his guidance is respected, and that his efforts to be a stable force in the lives of those around him are appreciated. The power of words isn't just in the compliment itself, but in the impact it has on a man's mindset. When a man hears "you're strong," it reinforces his belief in himself. When he hears "you're intelligent," it encourages him to think even bigger. When he hears "you're a great leader," it strengthens his ability to take on challenges. These words don't just boost his confidence, they shape the way he sees himself. They push him to live up to the very qualities being acknowledged. And when those words come from someone he respects, admires, or loves, their impact is even greater. Yet, despite the importance of these words, most men don't hear them often. It's not that women don't appreciate these qualities in men, it's that they assume men don't need to hear it. Society has conditioned people to believe that men should just know their worth, that their confidence is built internally and doesn't require external validation. But the truth is, men, just like anyone else, benefit from being recognized. A well-placed compliment has the power to strengthen a man's resolve, to remind him of who he is, and to deepen his connection with the person who gave it. This doesn't mean men need constant praise, nor do they want empty flattery. What makes a compliment truly impactful is its sincerity. It's about noticing the effort, the thoughtfulness, and the qualities that often go unspoken. It's about telling a man, in a genuine moment, I see you and I admire you. Those words don't just make him feel good in the moment, they stay with him. They become a reminder he carries with him, especially in times of doubt or difficulty. At the core of it, men want to be valued for more than just what they do. They want to be seen for who they are. And sometimes all it takes is a few words to remind them that their strength, intelligence, and leadership are not only noticed but deeply respected. Men thrive on respect. It's not just something they appreciate, it's something they need. While love and emotional connection are important, respect is the foundation of how men interpret their worth in a relationship. It's how they measure whether they are valued, whether they are truly seen for who they are, and whether their role in someone's life matters. Yet, despite this deep-seated need, respect is often overlooked. It's assumed rather than expressed. And one of the simplest ways to show a man respect is to acknowledge his decisions, his leadership, and his ability to guide, something that far too few women do. Men spend their lives making decisions, not just for themselves, but for the people they care about. Whether it's choosing the best path forward in a career, figuring out financial stability, or even making everyday decisions that affect their relationships and families, men carry a significant burden of responsibility. They are expected to be decisive, to problem solve, and to create stability. But how often does someone actually recognize and appreciate that? How often does a woman turn to the man in her life and say, I trust your judgment, or I respect the way you handle things? The answer for most men is almost never. The reality is that men don't just want to be heard, they want to feel like their thoughts and decisions are valued. When a woman acknowledges a man's guidance, it affirms his role. It tells him that his input matters, that he is seen as capable, and that his ability to lead is respected. This doesn't mean blindly agreeing with everything he says, nor does it mean suppressing one's own thoughts or opinions. True respect isn't about submission, it's about recognition. It's about saying, I may not always agree, but I trust that you have our best interests at heart. This kind of respect is powerful because it reinforces a man's sense of purpose. Men are wired to be problem solvers. They take pride in their ability to think critically, to navigate challenges, and to come up with solutions. But when their opinions are dismissed, challenged unnecessarily, or outright ignored, it chips away at their confidence. It makes them feel like their role is being diminished, that they are no longer needed in the way they once were. And nothing makes a man withdraw more than feeling like he is not valued in the relationship he is investing in. Many women don't realize that a simple acknowledgement of a man's leadership can completely shift the dynamic of a relationship. Saying, I trust your decision, or I appreciate the way you take responsibility for things, strengthens his connection to the relationship. It makes him feel like he has a role worth fulfilling. It's not about ego, it's about purpose. When a man feels that his leadership is respected, he becomes even more invested in making the best choices. He doesn't take the responsibility lightly. In fact, he works even harder to prove himself worthy of that respect. Yet, modern culture often diminishes this need for respect, portraying it as outdated or unnecessary. Men are expected to just do their part without needing validation. But respect is not about stroking a man's ego, it's about reinforcing his value. A man who feels respected by his partner is more confident, more engaged, and more willing to give his best. On the other hand, a man who feels disrespected, who feels like his decisions are constantly second-guessed or his leadership is dismissed, will slowly start to pull away. He may stop offering his opinion, he may stop trying to take the lead, and eventually he may stop investing in the relationship altogether. What many women don't realize is that this respect doesn't have to come in dramatic ways. It doesn't require constant validation or excessive praise. It can be as simple as asking for his opinion on something important, letting him take the lead in a situation where he's knowledgeable, or simply acknowledging when he makes a good decision. It's about showing that his thoughts, his choices, and his actions are valued. Even small moments of recognition can have a profound impact. Respect is also about how disagreements are handled. It's natural to have different perspectives, but the way those differences are communicated makes all the difference. When a man feels like he is constantly being challenged in a way that undermines his intelligence or judgment, he feels disrespected. But when differences are approached with curiosity rather than criticism, it fosters deeper trust. Saying, I see where you're coming from, let's figure this out together, rather than immediately dismissing his point of view, creates a space where both people feel valued. At the core of it, respect is about letting a man know that his contributions matter, that his role in the relationship is recognized, that he is not just there to provide or to perform, but to lead, to guide, and to be a partner in building something meaningful. And when a man feels that respect, he naturally becomes more loving, more present, and more committed. Because when a man knows he is truly valued, he will do everything in his power to keep proving why he deserves it. Men are naturally driven by ambition. It's what pushes them to work harder, to build something meaningful, and to carve out their place in the world. Whether it's their career, personal goals, or their vision for the future, ambition is deeply ingrained in who they are. But what many people don't realize is how much a few words of admiration can fuel that ambition even further. A man's drive is often self-generated, but when someone he respects and cares about acknowledges his ambition and purpose, it ignites something even deeper within him. Unfortunately, very few women take the time to express this kind of admiration, and as a result, many men go through life without ever hearing one of the most powerful things they could hear, that their ambition is seen, respected, and believed in. When a man is working towards something, whether it's a business, a dream career, or a personal mission, he faces countless obstacles. The world constantly tests his patience, his resilience, and his ability to keep going when things get tough. Many men feel the pressure of expectations, the fear of failure, and the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. They push forward not just for themselves, but for the people they want to provide for, protect, and make proud. But despite all this effort, very few people actually acknowledge the fire that drives them. They see the results, the job, the success, the achievements, but they rarely recognize the mindset behind it. When a woman tells a man, "I admire your ambition," or "I respect the way you chase your goals," she does more than just compliment him. She affirms something he already knows about himself but rarely hears from others. It's one thing for a man to believe in his own purpose, but when someone else sees it and acknowledges it, it reinforces that belief in a way that gives him even more energy to keep going. It tells him that his efforts are not just his own, that someone else recognizes the path he's on and respects the dedication it takes to walk it. The truth is, men don't always talk about their ambitions openly. They work quietly, making sacrifices, investing time, and focusing on long-term goals that may take years to materialize. But just because they don't always express their struggles doesn't mean they don't feel them. There are moments of doubt, times when they question whether the sacrifices are worth it, and days when the pressure feels overwhelming. In those moments, hearing words of admiration, especially from a woman they respect, can be incredibly powerful. It can be the difference between pushing forward or giving in to the fatigue of constant struggle. A man doesn't need someone to validate his ambition, but he does appreciate when it's recognized. He wants to know that his efforts are seen, that his vision is understood, and that his drive is something to be admired rather than overlooked. When a woman expresses admiration for a man's purpose, she taps into one of his deepest desires to be respected for what he is building, for what he is striving toward. This kind of admiration doesn't just boost his confidence, it strengthens his emotional connection to the person who sees him in this way. It makes him feel supported in a world that often expects him to stand alone. But admiration isn't just about words, it's also about actions. It's about showing that his ambition is respected, not just saying it. That means supporting his dreams rather than doubting them, encouraging his vision rather than questioning it at every turn. Many men feel like they have to justify their ambitions to those around them, constantly proving why their goals matter. But when a woman genuinely believes in him and his path, it removes that need for justification. It allows him to focus on what he's building without feeling like he has to defend it. This doesn't mean blindly agreeing with everything he does. It doesn't mean never questioning his decisions or pretending that every ambition is perfect. It simply means recognizing the effort, the dedication, and the passion behind it. It means seeing the man behind the goal, understanding what drives him, and showing that his purpose is something to be respected. That kind of support is rare. And when a man finds it, he values it deeply. Many women don't realize just how much their words can impact a man's motivation. They assume that men don't need encouragement, that their confidence is unshakable, and that they will continue to push forward regardless. But even the most driven man appreciates knowing that someone believes in him. Even the most confident man feels an extra boost when the person he cares about tells him, "I see what you're doing and I respect it." Those words don't just make him feel good in the moment, they stay with him. They become a source of strength. When things get difficult, a reminder that his ambition is not only his own, but something that is valued by the people he loves. At the core of it, men want to feel like their purpose matters. They want to know that the long hours, the sacrifices, and the struggles they endure are not just for nothing. And sometimes all it takes is a few words of admiration to remind them that what they are building is worth it, that their ambition is not just something they carry alone, but something that others see, respect, and believe in. Men are often seen as the providers, the ones who take on responsibility without hesitation. They are expected to work hard, support their families, and ensure that the people they care about are taken care of. While they do this willingly, without asking for recognition, it doesn't mean they don't want to feel appreciated. In fact, one of the most meaningful things a man can hear is simple yet powerful: "I appreciate everything you do." These words go deeper than just acknowledgement. They remind a man that his efforts are seen, that his sacrifices matter, and that he is valued not just for what he provides, but for who he is. Most men don't openly express their need for appreciation. They don't ask for compliments, nor do they seek validation for the hard work they put in. Instead, they carry the weight of their responsibilities quietly, believing it is simply their role to fulfill. But beneath that strength, there is a desire to feel valued, to know that their dedication is not taken for granted. When a man goes through life without ever hearing words of appreciation, it can wear him down over time. It can make him feel like his efforts are expected rather than recognized, like he is just fulfilling a duty, rather than being seen for the depth of his commitment. A man who feels appreciated is a man who feels motivated. He doesn't need excessive praise, but when he hears, "I see how hard you work and I truly appreciate it," it reinforces his purpose. It makes him feel that what he is doing is not just necessary, but meaningful. Appreciation fuels a man's sense of worth, making him want to give even more, because he knows that his contributions are not just expected, but genuinely valued. This is especially true in relationships. A man who feels appreciated by his partner feels more connected, more invested, and more willing to go above and beyond. On the other hand, when a man feels unappreciated, it slowly drains his energy. He may still do what is required of him, but he will no longer feel the same level of motivation or passion. Over time, he may withdraw, not out of anger, but because he feels like his role has become invisible. A man who once took pride in providing and supporting will start to wonder if his efforts even matter. And when that happens, it affects not just his drive, but his emotional connection to the people around him. Appreciation isn't just about saying thank you, it's about noticing the little things. It's about recognizing the late nights, the sacrifices, and the silent efforts that often go unnoticed. It's about paying attention to the ways he tries to make life easier, how he carries burdens without complaining, and how he constantly pushes himself to be better. When a woman takes the time to acknowledge these things, it creates a deeper bond. It makes a man feel seen, respected, and valued beyond just what he does. It's easy to assume that men don't need this kind of validation because they don't ask for it. But just because someone doesn't vocalize a need doesn't mean it isn't there. A simple statement of appreciation can change everything for a man who has spent his life giving without expecting anything in return. When he hears, "I notice what you do, and it means a lot to me," it strengthens his confidence, his commitment, and his emotional investment in the relationship. It reminds him why he works so hard in the first place, not just for himself, but for the people he loves. And appreciation isn't just important in romantic relationships. Men want to feel valued in all areas of life, at work, in friendships, and within their families. A man who feels appreciated in his career will put in more effort. A man who feels appreciated by his friends will be more engaged in those relationships. A man who feels appreciated by his family will go to even greater lengths to provide and protect. This simple act of recognition has the power to reinforce a man's identity, to push him to continue striving for more, and to deepen his emotional connections with those around him. Unfortunately, appreciation is often overlooked. People assume that because men don't complain, they don't need recognition. That because they continue working, they don't need encouragement. But the truth is, even the strongest men need to feel valued. Even the most independent men need to know that what they do matters. The difference between a man who feels appreciated and a man who feels taken for granted is the difference between someone who is thriving and someone who is simply getting by. At the end of the day, men don't need extravagant gestures or constant praise. What they need is simple yet powerful acknowledgement. A moment where someone takes the time to say, "I see what you do, and I appreciate it." Those words stay with a man. They remind him that his efforts are worth it, that his sacrifices are meaningful, and that he is valued not just for what he provides, but for the love, strength, and dedication he brings into the lives of those around him. Men want to feel needed, not in a way that makes them feel like someone is helpless without them, but in a way that reassures them their presence, their efforts, and their role in someone's life truly matter. Deep down, men have an innate desire to provide, to protect, and to be someone who makes a difference in the lives of the people they care about. When a woman expresses that she needs a man not for his money, not for his status, but for who he is, it strikes something deep inside him. It gives him a sense of purpose and fulfillment that few other things can. Yet in a world that constantly promotes independence and self-sufficiency, this is something that many men rarely hear. There is a common misunderstanding that needing a man somehow makes a woman weak. But the truth is, true need isn't about dependence, it's about value. It's about saying, your presence in my life makes a difference. I choose to have you here, not because I can't do things on my own, but because I appreciate the way you make my life better. This kind of affirmation doesn't diminish a woman's strength, it strengthens the bond between two people. It makes a man feel like he has a meaningful role in her life, and that role isn't something replaceable or taken for granted. Men are problem solvers by nature. They want to feel like they can step in and provide solutions, whether it's fixing something around the house, offering advice, or simply being there in a moment of emotional difficulty. When a woman tells a man, "I need you," it's not about saying she's incapable, it's about letting him know that his presence makes a real impact. It tells him that his contributions, whether big or small, are recognized and appreciated. And when a man feels needed in this way, it deepens his connection to the relationship. It makes him want to give more, to invest more, to be even better, because he knows that what he brings to the table is valuable. Unfortunately, many men go through life feeling like they are only needed for what they provide rather than who they are. They hear appreciation for their financial contributions, their ability to fix things, or their physical strength, but rarely do they hear, "I need you because of who you are as a person." And that is what truly makes a man feel connected, knowing that he is not just a provider or a protector, but someone who is valued for his character, his presence, and the way he makes someone feel. Needing a man isn't about relying on him to handle everything, it's about allowing him to step into his natural role as a partner. It's about saying, "I trust you, I rely on you, and I appreciate the way you show up for me." It's about recognizing that relationships thrive on mutual dependence, that even the strongest, most independent people still need someone to stand beside them. When a woman expresses this kind of need, it doesn't make her weak, it makes her secure in the connection she's building. It creates a space where the man feels like he belongs, like he is truly making a difference in her life. Men don't just want to be present in a relationship, they want to be an active, essential part of it. When they feel like they are simply there without truly being needed, it can create a sense of emotional distance. But when they know that their presence is important, that their support is valued, and that they are making a real impact, it strengthens the bond. It makes them want to show up even more, to give more, to be better, because they know their role matters. It's important to understand that telling a man he is needed doesn't mean giving up independence. It doesn't mean pretending to be incapable or helpless. It means recognizing the value of interdependence, of allowing someone to be there in a way that deepens the relationship. A man who feels needed isn't just going through the motions, he's actively engaged, emotionally invested, and continuously striving to be the best version of himself. Because when a man feels like he is truly making a difference in the life of someone he cares about, there is no greater motivation to keep showing up, to keep giving, and to keep building something meaningful. Thank you.